You can really tell we're starting to get into late November because it is cold out today. Good morning, everybody. How you doing today? My name's Andrew.
I'm Aunt Becky.
My name's Joel.
I'm Matt.
I'm Megan.
I'm Mimi.
And we're some of the Veggie Boys.
And girls.
And we'd like to thank you for stopping by. Morning. How we doing today? Are we staying out of trouble? Are we doing good today? You trying to fight me? Why don't you like me, Foghorn? How'd you get mud all over your face? What in the world? It's pretty chilly today. Chilly enough that I have not one, but two sweatshirts on. I know, I'm prepared. We just got the farm market all set up and I came down around back to check on Joel because he's taking care of the animals.
Let's get it done. Good morning, all.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how are we feeling today?
10. Exceptional.
Joel has never been better. Dad just got back from the wholesaler, so Matthew ran up to help him unload the truck. Yesterday when we were peeling and cutting up the horseradish, we had talked about doing sauerkraut. Now, interestingly enough, we've already made sauerkraut this year so that we had some ready for around Thanksgiving time. But if we want to have sauerkraut for around Christmas time, then we need to get started on it right now. Our sauerkraut has a 6 to 7 week fermentation period, so if we don't get it started now, we won't have any for that time. And you need to have sauerkraut around that time of the year. So we'll be showing you the secret family recipe for sauerkraut. Now, when it comes to our sauerkraut, we sell it really fast. And with our first batch of sauerkraut, we did about 7 5-gallon buckets, and there's only about 3 left. Now, when it comes to hay, we've always used strings, and this is the first year that we net wrapped them, and we really like the net wrap. For us, it just seems to hold the bales together really well. We haven't had much, if at all, any spoilage. So we're probably gonna stick with the net wrapping. It just keeps the bales looking so nice.
It's amazing the difference in quality over the twine wrap and the net wrap. Definitely prefer the net wrap.
Callie came down for lunch. Lauren came down for lunch. How you doing? Are you having a good time? That's my girl. You're having a good time. It looks like tuna fish sandwiches for lunch and some vegetables. That's good because we're a vegetable farm, you know? Are you doing okay, honey?
Yeah!
Are you doing okay? So there hasn't been too much going on today. We just got the cabbage out of the cooler because we're gonna start working on making sauerkraut. So I don't necessarily know who's gonna be helping me with that. It has been getting really cold out. That is one thing I do know. Besides sauerkraut, I know another job that is going on. Joel is out with the rotary mower and he is taking care of all of the corn stalks that we still had up. At the end of the year, we like to go through all of our fields. We like to clean them up, make them look really nice. It makes it a lot easier on us when we head into the new year and start planting. Now, before we can get started with sauerkraut, we have to make sure that everything is really clean. About 10 minutes ago, we put a cleaning solution on this table and on all of our tools, and I'm just gonna come through and spray it off really quick. Now, in one of our previous videos, we had harvested some cabbage, and we actually went out another time to make sure that we had enough cabbage just to make the sauerkraut. You can see throughout this bin, we have some larger heads, we have some smaller heads, and that's okay because we are gonna grind it all up. Now, if you have never made sauerkraut before, that is okay, because this is not a super difficult job. One of the hardest things about this job is cutting the cabbage. Now, we have a mechanical shredder. This is a drum with knives on it, and as we turn it, it shreds the cabbage inside of here. People have said to us, why don't you hook up a motor to that thing? And I tell them, do you see this motor right here? Not really. I usually don't turn it. I cut up the cabbage, but still, you know what I mean. We got manpower. You can see the drum sits right in here and it spins very easily. And we take our top, we close it, and then we latch it on because we do not want that falling off. And then what we'll do is take the cabbage, drop it in the top, and then we'll push this down onto the cabbage, and we start grinding. Now, when it comes to making sauerkraut, you don't need too many things. You need knives, you need a grinder, you need cabbage, you need salt, and that's really all you need for some sauerkraut. But our family has found out there is one more piece of equipment that you really need, and that is a scale. Because anybody can make sauerkraut with knives, cabbage, salt, and a grinder, but you make really, really good sauerkraut when you have good measurements. Now, Dad, what are our measurements when it comes to making sauerkraut?
A 5 pound of ground cabbage and 3 tablespoons of salt. That's all we put in our sauerkraut. And then the trick to good sauerkraut is really get it packed tight so the juice and the water in the cabbage covers everything.
Now, do we add any water to our sauerkraut?
All depends what the cabbage looks like. If it's been cut a long time and it's a little drier, I might add a little water to it. But in general, there's enough moisture in fresh cut cabbage to make sauerkraut. The salt that we use cannot be regular table salt. It cannot have any iodine in it. So we use regular canning salt.
All right, now that we've got everything that we need to get started, the only thing to do is start cutting some cabbage. I'm not done with that. This isn't too difficult. The first thing we do, slice off the bottom of the cabbage to make it even. And then we slice the whole length of the cabbage, splitting it in half, just like that. And then we want to take our core out. So we take our knife and we go along the core. We take out as much of that core as we can, and we want to leave the cabbage there because any core that we take out won't grind, but the cabbage will. So you want to remove the cores, just like that. And because of the size of our grinder, we always take these and slice these in half so that it's easier to grind. Now, a couple questions you may have. Is this a difficult job? No, it's not difficult. It does take a lot of energy though. From constantly running a knife and lifting up heavy heads of cabbage, this can wear you out. And you have to be very careful because, well, you're working with knives. I've always enjoyed this job because we've always done this as a family. And for as long as I can remember, for as long as I've been alive, we have been making sauerkraut. We have a lot of good memories when it comes to all making sauerkraut together. Now, after the cabbage is shredded, Dad will take the cabbage over and he will weigh it, adding just the right amount of salt and then pressing it into the bucket. Because as he mentioned before, the secret to a really good sauerkraut is packing it tight. Look at this cabbage right here. This is a big boy. That is a large head of cabbage. Now, what we'll do with these cabbage leaves that I'm taking off the outside, and what we'll do with the cores, is we will take them and feed them to the cows, because the cows love cabbage. Does it taste sweet like sauerkraut cabbage? Yeah. Yeah. Now this is what we want our sauerkraut to look like after it is done. You can see it's got almost like a light brown color to it, and that is from the fermentation process. This has been fermenting for about 6 weeks now, and it is ready for sale. That's another reason why it's so important for us to get this job done, because we won't be able to sell it for 6 weeks. That's why we need to finish it so that it has time to ferment.
I like to do 5 pounds at a time. so that way I can get the salt. Now remember, it's a level tablespoon. If you heap it, it'll be too salty. If you don't get enough, it won't heap for you, so it's important. And it's important when you get to the top of the bucket here like you're doing, or a crock or whatever you have, a large jar, you want to get so the juice comes out. That salt brings the juice out of the cabbage. And as you can see here, it's starting to come. So we want to get enough juice that we cover everything. You'd want to keep it at room temperature. Well, less than room temperature. I think we like to keep it in this area because it's cooler in here, about 50 degrees. If you have it warmer, it may get done a little faster. If you have it colder, it may take a little longer.
Man knows his cabbage.
There's no need to get an automatic cabbage shredder when we have Matthew. That is what I know.
Do you know there's a lot of vitamin C in cabbage? When the Pilgrims came over on the Mayflower, one of the ways they were able to survive the trip and not get sick was because of having sauerkraut. So they had the vitamin C they needed.
And you know who used to eat more cabbage than them? Pirates.
And Sir Francis Drake, who was also kind of a pirate.
So we put a plastic bag around. It's to keep anything from getting in it, flies and bugs and stuff because of the sauerkraut. So this seals it off. But yet it leaves if you push down, you can see how the air comes out through the plastic, so it allows the gas to seep out. We always set a plate on there, and you can see from the plate sitting on there, it pushes down, and you see the juice coming up around. That seals everything up nice, allows the gas to get out, and then we always set a little bucket of water on top to keep pressure on it.
This is like the best part. That's good cabbage.
Why is this cabbage so much sweeter than the cabbage we did earlier?
Now it won't be sweeter because we're using a different variety of cabbage. The only thing special about this cabbage is that it was hit with a freeze. Now I don't know why, but the old timers always said a cabbage that had been hit with the freeze was much sweeter than cabbage that was not hit with the freeze. And so they would go on to say that cabbage that had been hit with a freeze would make a sweeter cabbage and a better sauerkraut. And from what I just tasted over there, this cabbage is really, really sweet. I don't know if the freeze affected it in that way, but it's some good cabbage.
Make sure level full, no heap. Oh, by the way, do you know who consumes more sauerkraut than anyone? If we calculate by body weight and size, it is still Lefty.
Right now, Dad is pressing down the last of the sauerkraut, and I'm gonna take some of these leaves out to the animals. We have found this is the best way to get rid of our extra cabbage leaves.
You gotta spread it out or they get upset. I thought I had it.
And that'll about do it for sauerkraut. All we've got to do is clean up. But right here we have 5 more buckets, and this will be ready around Christmas time. We got up into the farm market, and then we put everything away. The girls already had everything off the shelf because it'd been closed for some time. Now we've got all of our pallets moved into the cooler, so we're heading up to the house. Megan was worried you were never gonna come home.
The issue is you don't listen.
He just didn't want to close up the store with us.
Oh, is that the truth? You don't like closing up the farm market? Tell them the problem we had while we were making sauerkraut.
Lefty never showed up.
You knew right where I was. What are you talking about?
You have to watch the video. Don't think I'm going to spill the beans now.
This is your wife's.
Oh, thank you. We made it into the house, a very, very quiet house. I don't know what's going on yet. But as you can see, no dinner on the table. That would make it date night. Yes, Lauren and I going on a hot date. It's gonna be great. Callie's coming too. I guess it's all 3 of us going on a date. But anyway, guys, since it's date night, you know what that means. This is where we're gonna end the video. I wanna thank everyone for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.